You are listening to C-SPAN Radio. Tonight, the McNeil-Lehrer Report, followed by Congressional Quarterly Magazine Radio, and then at 10:15, CineMcCollough, Journey to Bantam, number 2, Spock Messiah. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's the CineMcCollough podcast, Journey to Bantam Star Trek novel review. We always try to do highbrow.
You should have made it sound like an old-time gospel hour program.
We'll get there eventually. This is not our usual crazy, wacky, madcap banter here. We are highbrow for this because we are doing literature reviews, ladies and gentlemen. That's right.
And because Jay doesn't read Star Trek novels, that's the other reason it's highbrow.
I believe Jay does read, but you're right, he does read Star Trek novels. So here it is. So this is the Lord Rob and I, and let's go ahead and say hello, Lord Rob. We'll introduce you as a co-host.
Thank you. As I cough.
Yeah.
Yes, hello everybody. This is Lieutenant Commander Lord Rob, the Madness. Welcome.
That's right, and I am Lieutenant Commander Butch. So together we are taking our journeys through Bantam. That's right, there are, what do we establish, 12 or 13 Bantam novels that were written between the year 1970 and 1983 that were dealing with the original series Star Trek, or as we called it back then, Star Trek, because there was no other series until 1987. But
still call it Star Trek.
There were a series of novels by Bantam Books, and then Bantam lost the rights to those books, and then they started being published by Pocket Books. But until then, we are working our way through the Bantam novels, starting last time with Spock Must Die, and this time we are 6 years later in 1976 with Spock Messiah, 182 pages, written by Theodore R. Cogswell and Charles A. Spano Jr., not to be confused with Charles A. Spano Sr., who you will remember was quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs from 73 to 75.
And not to be confused with Samuel T. Cogley, attorney at law.
Oh, that is exactly right. There's a Charles A. Spano and a Theodore R. Cogswell. Neither is Samuel T. Cogley, but we don't want to get you too confused, so we will just stop there. This book is significantly longer than the last one. It's significantly more convoluted plot than the last one, but we'll talk about it a little bit. Before we get to a meeting summary, we'll just kind of give you the highlights of it by telling you what the back of the book says. Basically, something goes wrong, and now Spock is leading a jihad on a planet full of primitives somewhere, and of course we can't interfere because of the Prime Directive, and also the Enterprise is going to get destroyed because of radiation, so time's of the essence. Spock's out of the picture. He can't help. In fact, he's the problem in this case, and so what is our crew going to do? Calgon, take me away, I believe, is what they would have said in 1976. So that's what we got there. What should we talk about before we get into the quick plot summary there, Rob?
Well, I thought it was fun tonight when I was trying to refresh my memory of the plot, because I haven't read this for like a month. And Wikipedia said that critics at the time called this Spockploitation.
Oh, I was going to say... we're doing Journey to Babel Part 2, Dear Star Trek Penthouse. That's what I had this written down. This novel is definitely written by two authors that thought, what would happen if we had an R-rated Star Trek movie? Because there's a lot of nudity in this movie, a good amount of sex in this movie. I keep saying movie, it's a novel. And also a lot of gore, not just violence, but gore, beheadings, things impaled to walls, hanging on walls, all that stuff. A lot of bodies. The body count is high in this one. So, plus, am I right? We got roast meat that tastes really bad and smells really bad, so we got that. That's also another reason why. Yeah, so that's what I took away from this. This is like, okay, some people going, all right, let's write ourselves an R-rated Star Trek story, and then we just have to figure out who we're going to cast to play Ensign George, boom, and then we'll go from there. So that leads to the question: in 1976, who's playing Ensign George? Do you want to get to that question now, or do you want to wait till later?
No, I want to hear your thoughts on it. Yeah,
well I've been struggling.
Oh, what's that?
I've been struggling to think about who it would be. So the idea is we're in 1976. So as these guys are writing it, they're going, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I'm reading this, I'm trying to picture somebody in my head playing the parts that we don't know. Obviously, we know Chekhov looks like he's in it. Sulu, Uhura, Kirk, all these guys, we know what they're like, look like. So when we're reading it, we kind of know what they look like. But the new characters, you never know exactly what a newly introduced character. And by the way, the last novel, Star Trek, Spock Must Die, I don't think it introduced a single new character in that last one, so this was not an issue for Journey to Bantam #1, but it is in this one because we have at least one major new character that plays a big role in this that was never in this before. So now we have to picture, okay, what's the uniform color? I think we agree, blue, right? Mm-hmm. So that's pretty clear. She's science and medical anyway, so it makes sense she'd be wearing blue, and she's wearing the blue uniform, if you know what I'm talking about. The one that's been passed down from curvy ensign to curvy lieutenant to curvy science officers over the years. So that's good. But I've been trying to figure out who they had in mind, or who I should have had in mind is playing this. I kind of pictured this character as being kind of shorter, because otherwise they're kind of describing Linda Carter. But I don't think that's. I can't picture Linda Carter playing this role, although I wish I could picture Linda Carter playing this role. So
I'm okay with trying to picture it, but.
The important thing is Spock-ploitation is an accurate description of this novel, is what I'm trying to say. I went off on a little bit of a rant there, part of a tangent, but Spock-ploitation is a good term for it. So what else does the internet say about this?
Oh, apparently everybody hated it, and it did not sell well for a long time.
That's interesting. I mean, it's like if there's only 2 Star Trek novels, or is it 3 at this point? So it's like, what else are you going to read? Something else? Trek fans going to pick something else up and read something else? I don't think so.
Yeah, let's talk about the cover. Let me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we talked about it last time. Let me walk over and grab mine. Yeah, here it is. Oh. Yeah, it's sort of not. I don't know. Is Spock wearing a bulletproof vest? He seems to have beefed up a little.
He's been hitting the weight room pretty hard down at the bottom on deck 12, I think. The important thing about this cover is that it's very misleading for the story, because we don't see Spock for almost the entire novel, right? He's like at the part where we join the story, he's down on the planet and is acting weird and then is missing, and then we don't see him for a long time. And when he finally does show up, he's wearing a freaking BDSM leather mask. Is that kind of what all these guys are kind of wearing? You get the sense I don't know if there's like a ball gag in this mask that he's wearing, but the way they describe it, they're all wearing these leather full head covering masks and stuff, and it plays a big part of the plot about that'll come to later. But the important thing is, when you see Spock, he doesn't look like this. He's leather daddy Spock. Spock-ploitation.
Yeah, he's Mad Max 2 Spock.
Yeah, exactly.
Just walk away.
The assless chap Spock, as it were. So,
yeah.
Yeah, he does have the crazy googly eyes on the cover, because, of course, in this novel, when the key point on this novel is due to a mistaken mind link. And when they wrote that on the back of the book, I was like, why are they calling a mind meld a mind link? The answer is they're not. It's some newfangled technology that they came up with in some Federation lab somewhere to make anthropology work better, that they'll just link crewman's mind with one of the natives so that he can call on their cultural knowledge and language base and skills and stuff like that, so they can fit in better. And something that's horribly wrong.
That seems like the sort of bad idea that the Federation would try, going by, like the Next Generation or the original series. Yes. They do try weird stuff like this where you're like, yeah, maybe it could work, but it seems like there's 1 or 2 red flags or...
Well, the big problem, of course, in this is that, I guess by 1976, Michael Crichton had written The Terminal Man, right? That's your cautionary tale right there. Putting things in people's brains and then hoping for the best, not a good plan. Because next thing you know, Spock's matched up with the wrong guy who's got a Messiah complex, and now Spock is a wacko with a Messiah complex, but all the brain power and technical knowledge of Spock combined, there will be no stopping him, Rob.
Well, and the guy messianic dude that he whack job that he got linked with is also one horny son of a bitch.
Well, that's going to come in handy for some of the scenes that will get the 11-year-old boys to tune in at 11:30 at night after their parents are in bed when the movie version of this is on Cinemax or HBO. So that's important.
That's right. There was I like the. Did they on the original series talk about the Richter cultural scale? I feel like they did.
They talked. I don't remember if they used that term Richter, but they do at some point. I think it's Spock's Brain, which, if we can trek for a minute, is our next episode for the Treks Through TOS podcast, where they talk about this culture here is this level scale, and this culture on this planet is a slightly lower, slightly higher scale kind of a thing. Yeah. So.
And you see it throughout the novels. I mean, I just read Prime Directive last week, and it was all about in fact, it had Dr. Richter on it.
Oh, really? Dr. Richter himself. Well, that's impressive. I hope you said hi to Dr. Richter for me, so that's great.
I sure did. And so this planet here that they go to, which is Kairos, is a D+ on the Richter cultural scale. And this is the planet they're surveying. And basically, this new mind link thing that they're trying allows you to have, I don't know, you link up with your doppelganger, is that what they said?
Yeah, doppelganger, or DOP for short. So you say, my DOP knows how to play a trombone, so now I can play a trombone. Because when you're mind linked to them, you're not like two minds in one, but you just have access to their memories and an understanding of how to build a wagon or whatever. Yeah, so
or how to buy a loaf of bread.
Exactly.
You know all that stuff that you wouldn't know just from observing it.
And if you add that plus Scotty's ability to make gold coins out of materialize out of nowhere, then you've got a stew going. Basically, is what I'm saying. And hopefully, it's not a Vriss stew, is what I'm saying. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. We had some fun bridge crew banter, I thought, at the start. There's also some Nova-ish weirdness happening, and there's a radiation front coming in. This is all classic Star Trek, I think.
Of course, yes.
Let's see. The landing party starts having DOP issues, and I don't know, that's about it for Chapter 1. What do you got for the start of this?
Well, yeah, I mean, Chapter 1 is really kind of setting up the stuff right there. So I will say the two things that startled me about Chapter 1 were not plot-related. They were, one is that they mentioned that Sulu is from Alpha Mensa 5, which is, we learn actually in Star Trek 4, the movie, that he's from San Francisco. He was bored there, as he says. But that's okay. And then Scotty is also described as big, bluff, and red-haired in Chapter 1. This is not a good sign. Yeah. Do you remember the TV? Have you seen the TV series? I'm starting to wonder if this is like Blish again, if these guys actually watched the TV series.
This is SETI Alpha 5, right? Yeah.
But so they're kind of setting up a little bit of their and of course they break out a bottle of Canopian brandy in Bones' store from Bones' store there, and they talk about some flaws and blah 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 and that kind of thing. So then after that, they still don't know where Spock's at or what's going on, but their communications are out and there's radiation moving in, and it's moving in way faster than radiation should move. Like at warp speed kind of thing, which is impossible, of course, we know. And then, so they decide to trigger another piece of new tech called Spock's Tingler circuit. And before you say what? And no, it's just like, it's your sciatic nerve that just says, hey, basically, if you feel a twinge in your sciatic nerve, find a secluded place and call the ship, and so we can tell you what's going on. But that, he doesn't answer that either. So now we're seriously having problems. And then Spock's acting weird, didn't report back in, kind of a thing. And the tingler didn't even tingle him, so.
Yeah. Then a message arrives for Kirk, and the warp engines are disabled.
Yoicks.
And we find out that the Enterprise and her crew are at the mercy of a madman. And Kirk makes the announcement, Mr. Spock has gone insane.
So, for the second novel in a row, ladies and gentlemen, Spock is the problem we have to overcome in the story.
Right. So we find out that he has been mind-linked with a religious zealot fanatic. Yep. That's probably one extra word.
His name is Chagara. I guess two words. So,
do you know how to pronounce that?
Chagara. It doesn't matter. I had two chances. Then I should have gone for door number 3. That's fine. So anyway, the important thing is that Spock at some point has snuck in and stolen and I'll quote it here, trilithium modulator crystals out of the warp engines, which means they can't turn the warp engines on, which means they're stuck in orbit, and this thing is in this radiation cloud is going to get there and blast them. So they have a certain amount of time that they have to figure out where Spock is, get the modulator crystals back, put them back on the ship so they can warp out, or else the ship will become radioactive and unusable, and everybody will have to evacuate the planet. And since they can't call home, they're going to be stuck there. And as we know from previous episodes of the original series, it could be somewhere between 10 years and 100 years before another Federation ship will come looking for them. So that's a long time to wait, buddy.
Hey, Butch, did you ever see the Iger Sanction?
No. A friend of mine recommended that to me a while ago, and I never have seen it. So,
yeah, was that me?
It was you. Yeah.
Yeah. There is a smoking hot chicken there named George.
Really?
And she doesn't talk. She's part Native American, let's say, half Native American.
Gotcha.
And so she's the quiet type. She is, get your sock ready for that movie. That's all I'm saying about her. Yeah. But I'm willing to work with her as a working definition of Ensign George, who is a cold fish at the start, but we'll see.
Yeah, she's cold fish. We do meet her, of course. They have figured out something's gone wrong with Spock's melt or doplink, and so Kirk is assembling the usual suspects in the sick bay to figure out who gets the finger of blame. And the usual suspects are Bones, Nurse Chapel, Dr. Mbabenga, again, God bless him for being back for the second straight novel, and Ensign George, I wrote parentheses, Yowza, because I don't know how many different ways these two writers, I took two writers because the first writer started running out of ways to describe how hot this girl is supposed to be.
Yeah.
We're going to get lots and lots and lots of descriptions of that, so.
You know what you should probably do is while we're doing this podcast, just discreetly Google George from the Iger Sanction, and I think you'll feel good about that exercise. But anyway, we find out why Spock is acting screwy. The aforementioned Ensign George switched his DOP, and not only that, but she switched her own DOP. She chose an infomaniac. And so they come up with the plan to use her, Ensign George, as bait to catch and fix Spock's DOP. So that's the plan in Chapter 4.
Yeah, and it is a pretty terrible thing because what had happened is that Ensign George was responsible for some of the tapes, and she's like, "Look, I know I'm a cold fish, and I'm too embarrassed to introduce anything. But if I switch myself with an infomaniac, and if I switch him with a person who's really oversexed, then he'll want to have me, and that'll be a cool way to just play. We're doing some role playing in that case." Psychic link role play is what that'll be, and that'll give me a chance to reach out and touch somebody that won't otherwise let me reach out and touch them. So,
is this the start of cosplay? Is that what this is?
It goes
the kind of naughty kind.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. That's one different way you could put it. So, I wrote then. Kirk, Bones, and Yowza. I'm just going to call her Yowza for a while. I wrote her. Are going to beam down and look for Chadgar and or Spock, dressed as like they say like they're on their way to a BDSM party. I wrote, and there's lots of Scotty fake gold in there, and Bones has to spray tan his legs because he doesn't get much sun up there on the Enterprise and stuff like that. Yeah, and but they do drop the transporter trouble from Spock Must Die. So now they're self-referencing previous Star Trek novels as well as episodes. So that's delightful, I thought. Nice. And by the way, things don't go well as soon as they see Ensign George. She's made, and they get the Messiah out of there. Messiah is what they're calling Spock these days. They get him out of there like in a hurry. Because they know a trap has been set because Spock is onto them. So he recognized Lieutenant George and Ensign George, and that's all there is to say.
Yeah, and apparently she's been made many, many, many times.
Well, she longs to be. So anyway, that leads to them. Yeah, that's exactly right. So they have to find another way in. So it's off to go find Lothar of the Hill People, or Chag rather, and we get a good series of greasy meat stories. Apparently they eat the same animals as they ride, as they used to haul stuff, which is kind of like oxen, I guess, in Americans, America's in the world here on Earth. So, but they keep trying to find new ways in. They meet this guy, Karakasemi, who's like a merchant or a doctor who's kind of on the outs because he's got a drinking problem. So they get him fixed up, buy off his creditors, and next thing you know, they've got a friend in Karakasemi. You got a friend in Karakasemi, as it were. So
yeah, I thought it was kind of fun how they introduced us to this guy. He's drunk in the tavern. He's kind of a scumbag, shyster lawyer. They pay his tabs and his legal fees and all this, and this allows him to get back into good standing, and he's gonna help them out now, and be their front man to get to Spock, as it were.
Yep.
Then they had a fun scene where Spock has like a Hitler-esque rally.
Yes.
This is not like the John Gill that we know today in 2020. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm politicking. But I thought it kind of reminded me of the Nazi episode we just covered not too long ago, Patterns of Force.
Patterns of Force, that's right.
Yeah.
He's a zealot who holds a spell over the crowd as they listen, as it were.
And it's kind of fun to picture Spock doing that, because it's the opposite of what he's normally like.
Exactly. So, so the big debut in this, of course, is that at some points Spock / Messiah points up at the sky and says, "Look at what I see up there." And they look and they see a thing moving through the sky, and all the people, and he calls it After Bliss. That's the place you're going to go if you get killed in battle during his holy war. This is a culture, apparently, we learn later in the book that if somebody dies, they just leave them on the side of the road because they don't think there's anything to a dead body at all. But in this case, he's teaching them, no, actually, if you die in battle, then we'll have a ceremony and you'll get taken up to After Bliss, where you'll be reunited with your soul and you'll live in Valhalla or Elysium or whatever you want to call it, right. The Earth version of it. So Kirk and McCoy figure pretty quickly, well, that's got to be Enterprise up there. But why is Sulu like playing fiddle for Spock's amusement or whatever? And it turns out, of course, that Spock says, "Move the ship in the orbit, or else I'll destroy the crystals and you'll be stuck." And so he's forced to do it. That's Sulu's only job on the ship is to get bowed into doing Spock's bidding whenever Spock needs him to be, which is a little sad for Sulu, but it's fine.
Yeah, and what Spock's trying to do basically here is he's going very rapidly from being the local nut to sort of uniting the world under his banner, and rally everyone to his cause, and I guess get a bunch of tail on the side. He's going to go all Lionel Richie, I guess. And, it's kind of fun.
Good work. It's good work if you can get it. Really, I mean, I think
It's so far from. I don't know. To me, it's too far fetched. It's so vastly a 180 from what Spock normally is that I can't imagine this ever having this effect on him.
Well, they do try. I think you're exactly right, and they do try to play to that. They're like, look, Spock is really high on the logical scale and really high on this, but he's really, really low on emotion, so low that he doesn't really know what to do with them when he has them. And so they figure, well, when he comes in, he's top of the scale on 3 things and bottom of the scale on 2 things, and Chag Gar, the guy he's linked with, is bottom everything. He's the opposite in everything, and so they figure it's like Spock doesn't know how to handle this, and he gets overwhelmed by it, or that's the story. That's what they're believing at this point, which of course we'll learn more details later, but at this point they're like, it's completely overcome him, and now he has all of Spock's attributes plus all the bad guys' attributes, and that makes him literally Lex Luthor. So
yeah, it's the perfect storm, I guess. But I don't know. It's kind of, you can see someone's got a Spock fantasy that they're playing out with a typewriter here. But let's see here.
Well, so the thing is, then they see this ceremony, and there's After Bliss, and they blah blah blah, and they and then next thing you know, Kirk has this device that Scotty worked up for him to shoot like tranquilizer darts in him. So he shoots him, and then they make off with him. They're like, hey, by the way, we've been pretending to be medics, so we're going to take him back to Kerr Kissimmee place and heal up the Messiah. And while they're doing that, then somebody busts out and then whacks him with a stick or whatever, and then Spock has gotten away again, and they're quickly left to fend for themselves against what's now a pursuing army that's going to kill all of them, including the crew that's assembled down there to help in disguise and stuff. And so they make a last-ditch stand at a redoubt somewhere, and the bad guys are breaking in the door, and they beam out just in time to escape with their wounded, which include several members of the crew. Nobody dies, and also our good new friend Kerr Kissimmee, who's beamed up to the ship with them. So
That's
shit
right.
does
So
not happen.
Now it's time for Plan B, which is going to be the nullifier, and they're going to pose as gypsies and somehow nullify something, which I don't even remember what the hell they're trying to do here.
Yeah, the gist of it is it's some device that if they get into within a meter of Spock's body, then it'll turn off the signal between his brain and his Dop's brain, Chagara's. And so as soon as that happens, Spock's regular brain will take over again, and he'll be his old normal self, and he'll stop being the Messiah, is what they figure will happen. But the problem is they have to get him close now, and after that last attempt, Messiah is not taking any chances anymore. So by the time they get all their preparation done, they got to acquire a wagon from down below. They got to acquire animals to pull the wagon from down below. They got to train everybody. They decided to switch how they link up, so now they're linking up two to a DOP and all that stuff. And there's some fun stuff, with Chekhov learning how to do this and Scotty learning how to do this and blah, blah, blah. It drags on for a while. Not too much, I think. I mean, this novel's not too overly long, but they're spending a lot of time like explaining how they would learn how to do stuff on another planet, which is usually they just bullshit their way through it. But this is obviously a better explanation for how you would bullshit your way through an alien planet, I guess.
Yeah, and the authors are trying to insert some comedy here. It's like we got a chapter of comedy, like you said. Yep. Anyway, the landing party eventually gets captured, and they get taken to some chieftain after discovering a massacre. And it looks like now they're to be executed. But Bones does some sneaky inside the tent surgery to save the chieftain's son.
Yep.
And now they're blood brothers.
Well, yeah, that's because the guy has a barbed spearhead in him, so in their level of technology, he dead. There's no way you can rescue somebody. It'll tear out his innards to take it out or whatever. But McCoy and Ensign George is acting as nurse, kind of like take care of that because McCoy smuggled a med kit down there. By the way, we should point out that an important scene for our R-rated movie has occurred because Ensign George has gone skinny dipping also, just for shits and giggles. And well described by the authors. They're like, it reminds me of when I was 10 or 11 years old and reading these things for the first time. They're imagining a really hot girl and describing her, and they're kind of lush in their descriptions. You could kind of tell they're sort of falling in love with their own creation, and that's fine because that's what we're supposed to do too. So it's fun. I mean, it's like she's skinny dipping now, she'll be stripping later, blah blah. Yeah, so we got a lot of. They're going to have to definitely cast Well/Linda Carter/Well in this if they're going to pull the movie version of this off. So
the movie version, of course, Sock Messiah.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Thank you. All right. So after Chekhov's in a fun duel, they get to Spock.
Hey, but real quick, they mentioned that he was first sword in his class at the academy. Chekhov was. So he has to fake being bad at a sword. But they mentioned that he's like the best swordsman on the ship. And I'm like, why? Because Sulu's not there to go, I'm standing right here. No, Sulu's up on the ship doing, yes, Mr. Spock, I'll turn it left and then I'll turn it right. Whatever you say, Mr. Spock. Yeah, Sulu should have been the one down there sword fighting, but whatever, it's fine.
Well, he's up talking with Leif Erikson, Scotty, yes. Up on the ship. So,
Fair enough.
Yeah, anyway, they get to Spock, and he uses the Enterprise's tractor beam to demonstrate that those who die for him, being the Messiah, in battle, will go to their reward in afterlife. So the tractor beam lifts, levitates bodies up off the planet. Sounded kind of cool. Kirk decides he's going to use his human trafficking exploitation skills again to once again dangle George's bait.
Yeah. She, by the way, is totally down with this. I mean, she's reveling in the whole, you just wait till you see what I can do with with the help of my DOP over there. It's like, they're like, oh, we got to make sure there's no weapons on you. She shows them the goods. How's this look, fellas? And you're like, boy, I'll tell you nowhere to hide a weapon in there, or we could look and whatever. Yeah. I mean, she's like really leaning into the role. Let's just put it this way.
She's tying cherry stems into knots with her tongue and everything, trying to.
Yeah, it's pretty George exploitation. Absolutely, yes.
Anyway, her job is to go do a sex dance for the Messiah. Thank you. But Spock captures everybody and sentences them to death.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you, Captain Kirk? That's what you get for sexual exploitation, buddy. Payback's a bitch. That's right. So then I got to admit, I've read this part twice, and this whole thing just kind of is a little confusing to me. So, again, we have to remember, they keep talking to Spock. They've seen Spock. They keep talking to him or whatever, but he's wearing a big old full head mask the whole time, right? So, so at some point then, Kirk's like bound and wrapped up, and they've tied him to some posts, and they're going to execute him and Bones and Scotty and the chieftain that he was working for in Chekhov. They're all going to get executed. They're all hanging out there. He's taken Ensign George to be his plaything because I enjoyed having her before, because we had learned that when she beamed down, Spock Messiah had his way with her in the tent, blah blah blah. So they've already hunka-chunked, as it were, and now he's thinking he's going to get.
I believe they call that a tryst.
I believe they're going to have another romantic interlude in his tent again, right about the same time as our heroes are getting burned at the stake. Except then some nonsense happens, and the van comes running at him, and they black out, and then everything's better. And I believe what happened is that the actual Spock, because it turns out that the Spock they've been interacting with, the Messiah guy, has been Chag Gara all along, pretended to be Spock. They thought it was Spock pretending to be Chag Gara, but it was actually the opposite. And so that's the big reveal. And he comes in and kind of turns the tables on Chag Gara, tells them, hey, by the way, all this stuff he's been telling you, he's full of shit. There is no after bliss. There's no life after life. You should go back to your old beliefs. I'm sure you'll be able to go right back to them now that, none of this, seeing bodies levitated into space. I'm sure you won't think anything of that. He made all that stuff up, even though you saw it with your own eyes and stuff.
It was, I would say it was kind of a far-fetched scheme, but it would have worked, too, if it wasn't for those meddling officers.
Yeah, and they literally pull the mask. It's like, whoop, Chag Gara! Yeah, and I'd get away with it, too, if it wasn't for blah, blah, So, yeah, it was very much a Scooby-Doo moment. You're exactly right. So, the important thing then is that Ensign George got to keep her, didn't get sexually exploited by Chag Gara again, having already done it once. We'll see. They keep talking. I mean, the real thing about this that is really bothersome is that every male character in their crew gets to say, boy, that Ensign George, she's really, woohoo, yeah. It's, I think Chekhov actually pats her on the ass at some point, and she's like, you're too young for me. Ha ha. Come back when you're 5 weeks older, or something like that. I don't know, whatever. But it's fine. You can tell.
She's gonna get murdered later on shore leave, probably by red-haired Scotty, if I know my Scotties. But we definitely get the saw how she was dressed. She was asking for it vibe through the whole book.
Well, but she was asking for it. Not just how she was dressed, she was asking for it. That was her thing. It's like, I'm a liberated woman now. I can bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan, and never, never, never let you forget you're a man. And I should have said,
that's right.
I should have said the Nilot. I can bring home the Nilot and fry it up in a pan, but I screwed up that line. Damn it.
I mean, they basically describe her as sitting there with a dick in each hand and blowing guys' love. I mean, that's exactly right. It is nice because halfway through the book, I'm like, I don't know how Spock's going to live with himself even if they cure him. with all the shit he's doing.
Yeah.
And so it is nice that they said, actually, he never did any of this horrible stuff.
Yeah, he was unconscious the whole time because Chag was keeping him unconscious and just tapping his intellect and logic and knowledge and stuff. So it's interesting because Chag Gara was doing to them exactly what they were doing to the people on the planet. I'm sure Kirk and crew were like, how dare you? Without an ounce of irony in how dare you just exploit our minds to use them against us? And it was like, that's exactly what you're doing, guys. I don't know what's hard to figure out.
And the idea that the village crackpot is going to get the better of Spock for the whole book is hard to swallow. But whatever. They had to tie it up. It was turning into a hot mess.
Oh yeah.
And so it turns out that they leave the planet in smoldering ruins, I assume. And
yeah, it's very much the black ship of death. I will say this does use some of the original series Star Trek tropes that we love. They get captured a lot. They bullshit their way out of being executed a lot, and that's cool. I mean, because as much as those aren't like our favorite things always about the original series episodes, they're part of the original series episodes.
Oh, I love it when they bust out of cells and stuff and bullshit their way out of trouble in the old shows.
I love some of them. Some of them are better than others. The whole we got these locator crystals. We're just going to turn them into a laser. That some of them are. I'm just saying some of them are better than others. Is all.
Well, I like that better than the nonsensical Corbomite explanation.
That's fair. I am not going to dispute that at all. So
whatever you use against us is going to happen to you. So take that. Okay.
You now have 2 minutes. Okay. Yes.
And we don't keep any records of it, so you're just going to have to take that chance, mister. Yeah, that's.
The destruction of your vessel has been delayed. Well, anyway.
I don't know. I thought it was an okay book. It's, you read it at the beach or whatever. In my case, the hammock.
In my case, the beach, as it were. I finished it at the beach here in the beach last night. So
nice.
We're out of Manzanita, Oregon, at the beach, and I finished the novel, and now I'm picking up the next one, The Price of the Phoenix, to read.
Which is better so far.
Well, so I would say if we're going to do this, we should do the Bantam books. We're going to do our top list of the Bantam books. I definitely have Spock Must Die, with all its flaws and warts, ahead of this one because I think it doesn't strain believability as much about character as this one does.
Yeah,
and this one gets lost in the R-rated. It does have some fun stuff, but it gets a little bit lost in the fun stuff, I think. So
yeah. It's not the train. I don't think it's as bad as Wikipedia thinks it is, but it's not great. But it's fun. Maybe this is where Tarantino got his idea for an R-rated Star Trek. Who knows?
Exactly.
But I'm with you. I've got Spock Must Die #1 and He Must Rise Again #2.
On the third day, as it were. So by the way, I've decided, having gone back, I've decided I would also accept Dr. Helen Noel as being cast as Ensign George. If they just, for the movie version, just have Dr. Helen Noel be, she's already got the doctor in the title, right? So
so she's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's, and that's the reason why that's the uniform she's wearing, is because that's the Mirror Remain Helen Noel blue uniform of death, as it were. So
make it so.
There you go. So anyway, it has been a little bit of a messy ride through the hills of Kiros, but we made it. So that's the important thing. So this is number 2 down. Number 3 next up is the Price of the Phoenix, which is one of 2 Phoenix books, if I'm not mistaken, out of the Bantam 12.
Speaking of dying and rising up again, the Phoenix books are interesting. We're going to get what, at least in the Bantam verse, is going to be Kirk's nemesis.
Oh, that's exciting. He needs a nemesis for the novels because, as we know, I would say one of the downsides of Spock Must Die is they took out 2 of his favorite Klingon nemesis from the original series, put him out of play for at least 1,000 years. So he's going to need a new nemesis.
So. Oh hell, what's the guy? Omni, the villain in the next one. He's going to make Khan look like a pussy.
That's a nice thing, is that they don't have to figure out who to cast to make him look more awesomer than Montalban, because that would be a lot of pressure on whoever's going to try and do that. So on a book form, you can do it, and we can use our mind to go, yeah, he would be a badass. I can't imagine who they get to play him to be the badass, but they can. Yeah,
they could pick Schwarzenegger.
Well, not in '77. They couldn't. I don't think.
They could have. Well, that's right in Mr. Universe territory right then.
Physically, he could. I don't want to see him acting in 1977 yet. Give that guy a little time to learn the English language better. Yeah.
So who do you think then?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to spoil this for you. You are going to have to tune in next time when we do our episode on The Price of the Phoenix on Journey to Bantam number 3. So that wraps it up for us this week. Rob, any last thoughts before you try and cast the next book?
Well, I'm heading to Florida. I think I will bring this book on the plane. I read half of it a month ago, and I put it down and read like 3 pocket novels. So I need to get back into the Phoenix book.
Good.
And shout out to our friend Vince in Phoenix. But, I'm excited, and we've got the first 2 out of the way. We'll see if this series can find its footing.
Absolutely. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for joining us on the NPR C-SPAN version of the CineMcCollough Star Trek podcast, Journey to Bantam, and we will see you next Stardate.